ancient Tuscan grove. And it's not just a luxury food issue. Even the most basic ingredients in your pantry are likely adulterated. Pre-ground black pepper is doped with ground olive pits. Salt is cut with talc and other fillers. Eater beware. The food industry is like the Wild West. My goal from the start has been to change that. Still is. But that's to come. For now, my point is simply that the belly of New York rumbles mightily, and the city devours every morsel that reaches its greedy maw. Nothing is too expensive or too exotic, and my job is to scout the world for the most delicious foods known to man. It's also worth knowing that the first time I went to Knighted Cargo to pick up a shipment of truffles from Italy, I was 17 years old. That's when I moved to New York with a dream. 3 years earlier, I had found my calling at my grandparents' cabin in the Ozark Mountains of northwest Arkansas. That April day, I walked out the back door with my Uncle Jared, and he taught me how to forage for morels. The next year, I learned about truffles. Truffles, if you don't know about them, are the ultimate mushrooms. They come out of the ground damp and lumpy, looking like clods of dirt. The French call them diamonds of the kitchen, because they are rare and because beneath their drab exterior, they contain an inner mystery, a unique aroma that no one can fully describe. It encompasses fragrances of mushrooms and Parmesan cheese, garlic and chlorophyll, cured meats and herbs, the smells of the soil and the seasons, of intimacy and rebirth, the complex and elusive scent of human desire. Using savings pooled from 3 Christmases, I bought a kilo of truffles off the French version of eBay and sold to chefs in Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Overnight, I became a teenaged truffle dealer. When I graduated from high school, I ditched college and moved to New York to sell truffles. I had convinced my parents to at least let me try. My dad had moved to America from India and become an entrepreneur, so he understood risk, and my mom is Texas tough. They agreed to my plan, which most parents would have shut down as a lunatic pipe dream. When I left home in Arkansas with $5,000 in my pocket, all I knew about the New York restaurant scene was what I had read in Frank Bruni's reviews for the New York Times. I did at least have a job lined up as the North American sales director for the Italian truffle importer Tartufi Rossini. Rossini was based in a small town outside of Perugia in the truffle-producing region of Umbria. Between my junior and senior years of high school, I had met Ubaldo Rossini, and we started working together. That winter, I sold $233,000 worth of truffles to restaurants in Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. My cash margin was almost zero because we discounted prices to move volume in my backwater market, but money mattered less to me than the truffles themselves. Ubaldo let me take my profit in black diamonds. I had truffles by the pound. To hold, to smell, to fold into ravioli bedded in foie gras sauce. Ubaldo, who was 27 when we met, became my first friend in the industry. He was the guy I wanted to be back then. When he offered me the chance to move to New York as Rossini's first employee, I jumped at it, and in July 2010, my mother flew with me from Arkansas to get me settled into my new home. Except that my life in New York was actually based in New Jersey and would be for the next 2 years. I couldn't afford Manhattan, even with Ubaldo chipping in 1/3 of the rent, and instead I settled for an attic apartment on Shippen Street in Weehawken, across the Hudson from Midtown. From the end of Shippen Street, I could see where I wanted to be, somewhere in the view that stretched from Columbus Circle to Wall Street, which at dusk looked like a Woody Allen love letter to the Big Apple. The reality was that Shippen Street dead-ended above the Lincoln Tunnel, which farted out cars and fumes 24 hours a day. The restaurant people I eventually got to know lived in Brooklyn, or the Lower East Side, or in Hell's Kitchen, the one stretch of Manhattan that hadn't been gentrified by tattooed hipsters with financial support from home. Weehawken's only benefit was being closer to Tartufi Rossini's office in Newark, a city rightly known as the shithole of America. My block looked like a blue-collar neighborhood in Pennsylvania or Ohio, and the house where I lived must have been nice 75 years ago. It had 2 full stories and an attic with a dormer window, a front porch framed by columns, and a small yard 2 steps up from the sidewalk. Most of the houses on the block had been split up for rentals since then, and third